Morning Day Herald, founder of They Say This and This They're Gonna See, and the host of my podcast, Teach Tide. We are here to give a warm welcome to the one and only. He's a true chameleon of the screen. You see him bring human heart and touch of chaos in every role he takes. From the razor sharp grit of the Devil's Reject to the unforgettable Axel on The Walking Dead, and countless appearances in films that define cult cinema. He's a master of transportation. Excuse me, transformation, intensity, and storytelling. Whether he's surviving a zombie apocalypse or stealing scenes in a southern thriller, he always brings souls to the screen. Let's give it up for the one and only Lew Temple.
Thank you. That was such a nice introduction. Really.
You're very welcome. But how are you feeling today?
I'm happy to be here. I think this is an amazing space. I always like coming to Georgia. Spend a lot of time, obviously, filming Walking Dead and other projects. I first came to work on a movie called Lawless, which was a bootlegging movie I did with Tom Hardy and Shia LaBeouf and Gary Oldman. There was a lot. Jessica Chastain was in it. You had a lot of hey, this uh about moonshine. Of
Wow.
course, sure. But happy to be here. Two things. Uh, it's always good to be someplace, and you're going to be someplace and be happy to be. Right?
Absolutely. And I didn't know about you. So my brothers grew up playing Little League Baseball, and you actually did some baseball in Columbus here. So tell me about the experience before being an actor.
Oh, that's right. I did play baseball, and that was my passion as a little boy. I love baseball, and I still love baseball, and I still think it's my first passion. That baseball's always been a big part of my life, and it took me out of high school into college, and out of college into the minor leagues professionally for the Houston Astros, of which I played right here in Columbus, Georgia. That's Double A Astros of Columbus, Georgia. I don't see anyone out here old enough to know that Columbus used to have a Double A team for the Houston Astros, and Dayton Moore was the owner operator of that team. That was fantastic. So I've been knowing Columbus for quite some time. So it's been hot.
Wow, that's amazing. So, as an athlete, what made you transition from baseball to acting?
I didn't know anything about acting. I didn't, I kind of grew up. I guess I never thought about it. I thought those people really who they were. I didn't know there was an actor. Uh, so I thought Magnum PI was really some guy named Magnum
Mhm.
who was a private investigator. But I followed a girl into a building to inquire about her dinner plans, and it turned out to be theater, and they were doing the stage just like this. Yeah, that caught my fancy, so I said I could do that. I could, and at that time I had this really great job for the Houston Astros as a scout and coach, and I was being groomed to have a career as an executive, and I walked away from all that to go back to college to study acting.
Wow. So you really got bit by the acting bug, as they
I
say.
guess I did, yeah. And
Okay.
it was not so much, it just was a place that I could connect with what I was feeling.
Mhm.
And that was to tell a story. So I think that's sort of part of my nature is to be a storyteller, and that was the best way to do it. But I think we could tell stories with everything that we do.
Exactly.
If you're a carpenter, you telling a story with building something, if you're a nurse, you're telling a story of caring for somebody, service. So I think we're always telling and listening to stories. I think that's the human experience. So uh, be a storyteller in many or any walk of your life. How's that?
Yes, I definitely agree with that. I think storytelling it helps people heal. When you're watching from TV and see technology has changed from newspapers and now in the morning people that scroll through TikTok and guys that say doom scroll. So technology has changed over the years, especially with streaming platforms and channels. So for you, you really played a lot of unforgettable characters. And for your approach, how were you able to build such distinct personality every career, excuse me, every character play?
Yeah, I try to find what in the character is like me, and oftentimes that's very little. Um, so I spend more time on thinking about what's not like me in the character, and I never judge the characters, so I sort of look at them all as little boys, is where they start out.
Right.
They're all very sweet, innocent children, and what happened and what went wrong, and I start to kind of build from there. And then I do take personal experience, things in my life that have been challenges or disappointments, or and implement those into the character, and I sort of try to fit the character into you so that it's rather authentic. But more than that, what I really try to do is build the character that we all have as to who we are in our imagination. The person that sings in the shower, or when no one's watching, plays air guitar to their favorite song. I think that person that you represent in private is a person who you are or who you want to be. So I just take that person and give that person the opportunity to be seen and heard. And so that person lives in your imagination. And mostly we're a little nervous to expose that person. So I think I am not nervous in these characters to expose that person. So uh, the imagination is not used enough, and it is underestimated. It does the work.
But indeed, and I feel that sometimes with the best actors, not really acting at all. They're really playing themselves and bringing their heart to the characters. So I want to talk about Axel. The Walking Dead has it still such to have a big fan base even to this day. Your character had like a very unique tone, very lighthearted, very sweet, but had a very tragic ending. I mean, I really hated that. But I just want to ask, like, I heard some controversy about the writers' room, and I heard it was a rumor that Axel was actually said to be a serial killer in season three as antagonist to later kill Beth. Was that true?
Yeah, apparently, those who are devout fans of the graphic novel, that Axel in the graphic novels had a little bit of a dark presence with some of the younger players in the world, and so there was some talk that we were going to follow that storyline, so that Axel was not really who he seemed to be and was going to be a wolf in sheep's clothing, and I was okay with that because it gave me a lot to conceal and hide, uh, and then they pulled the plug on that because they felt like Axel was coming off quite genuine and likable, and to be honest, that when he gets killed, the payoff would be higher because we might, as opposed to he was just a bad person anyway. Uh, we got rid of we got rid of him happily. Um, so I take it as a compliment because I think I did a good job of presenting Axel as somebody that the audience liked. And we'll at least walk away knowing those were very well thought questions. Those questions were designing and art. a story arc. You were a little boy who liked baseball, and turned to acting, and then you turned to being an actor that developed characters. How does all this happen?
And speaking of art, so we're gonna flip the script, right? So you're thrown in a real zombie apocalypse. Which one of your characters be by your side, and who would get bitten first?
Well, I always used to say I'd want to be Judith, but that's when Judith was a little baby. Somebody was carrying her and looking out for her, feeding her. But now she's got to be in charge of Negan, and that's just something I wouldn't want to do. So I like which character would I want by my side was Vincent
Yes.
Ward. I liked Oscar by my side, my teammate, my brother, and um, because clearly he looked out for me in the prison amongst those other bad people. Though Tiny wasn't so bad, he was influenced that. So I think Oscar would be a guy that I always would like having by my side. And who would get it first?
Yes, sir.
I think I think exactly. Uh, I think the exactly how the show presents itself. Maybe those who weren't as mobile or nimble. So Jeffrey Dale, who's a little bit older, had a bad leg, or Tiny's a big guy and doesn't move so fast. You might say, "Well, I'll just out wrestle these guys," but you still get bit when you wrestle. You know, some of the more ample people who don't run so fast. I might like to have them by my side. But also, they probably taste better than I do. So
Sure.
you want asparagus, or you want a ribeye. So
Wow, I could definitely see that for sure. And now we're going to go to a different show. So I'm with an agent Dyer, and she told me that she would sell her left kidney to work on the righteous gemstones.
oh, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
And you have an episode, it's on season 4, episode 1, it's called Prelude. You can stream it on HBO Max. And it's an episode about the height of the Civil War. Elijah is a son played by Bradley Cooper. He receives a divine wake up call and directed by the phenomenal Danny McBride. So, with your full episode, what was like the character work you built for that script?
Yeah, that show. I don't know Danny McBride. Well, I do now, but I'd always liked his work. For those of you who don't know who he is, uh, Eastbound and Down and Vice Principals, and of course he does Gemstones and he's singing it. Robert Thunder. He's fun. He's so funny, and he's big, and he's not very courageous. He doesn't take himself too seriously. So I was really excited to meet him. I had auditioned for several of those parts for that particular episode.
Wow.
It's a standalone episode, so it doesn't really, except for it is the origin story of the gemstone legacy, and it's very interesting. So I was happy to be part of it. It is a Civil War piece, and I was like being part of that storytelling stream. When I got to set, my role was great. It was fine, but there was definitely some other people uh, that I wanted to do, and a lot of my friends were doing those roles. I was like, I wanted to do that role, but I was happy to be there. And then Danny was really kind. He was talking to me. And he said, "Hey, have you met Brad yet?" And I didn't know who he was talking about, but I turned around and it's Bradley Cooper, this guy who's pretty well known. He's a good actor. So it was cool to meet him and do a lot of work with him. Uh, and I thought he was great. In the moment, you don't know how it's going. It's a little like this. You just get out there and do it. And then when you see it, the finished product, which I never do, I never watch stuff that I do. But for some reason, I watched this episode because I was so impressed with Danny McBride's direction. He was huge. Like, he could go make a Marvel movie. I have no doubt. Uh, and so I did watch it, and I was like, "Dang, that Bradley Cooper's good." But on the day, I was like, "He's like the rest of us, just mediocre." But he's not. He's good.
Oh, so you sometimes don't like to really look into a lot of actors don't like to look at their work at all. They don't even turn the TV on their work
I
at all.
feel like there's nothing you can do. It's a little
Right. That's
uh,
all you can tell.
it's like life. You know what happened yesterday is yesterday. And let tomorrow take care of itself. But you're here. One time I was out in the desert with Johnny Depp. You know who that is?
Yes, sir.
Does anyone know who Johnny Depp is? Raise your hands if you know who Johnny Depp is. Calissa, I don't believe you know. I think it was being part of it. And that young girl who looks a little like his daughter. You don't know who he is. I don't believe anyone that needs to maybe if you grew up with Catholic Jack. But the point is, I have a 17-year-old daughter. She knows who he is, but a lot of her friends don't. And it's so hard to, when you get older to realize that life keeps moving forward. Uh, it moves with you, doesn't leave you behind. You choose to stay behind with what is comfortable. Johnny Depp's very comfortable for me. He's always been a fun actor with great character work. But I realize now, like, this guy, Team Chalamet, is quite fun and good, right? You know, I start to realize that Benson Boone is very fun and character and and they're incredibly talented. So it's not they're 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 talented too, like we all are. And yeah, you could move with them. Uh, otherwise, where I live in Los Angeles, there's this place in the middle of Hollywood. It's it's a big pool of oil right in the middle of this city. It's called the La Brea Tar Pit, and dinosaurs would walk in there and die. And that's what old actors do. If you don't move with that, you know, you're gonna young people get this words of advice. The only thing constant are death and taxes. That's something they said to me. And I'm an old person. The one thing
You're not old.
the one thing you can count, two things I can keep count on are that star, the North Star, like it's always there. So look up. And then I think that's a metaphor for life. I'll look up. Just look up. Uh, for you actors out there, that's a good, also a good words of advice. Don't look down. Camera's right there. Nobody wants to see the top of your head. If you need to think about something, do what George Clooney does. Look up. Think up. You get knocked down, get up. Just always be thinking up. Also, if you have faith, look up. All right. Moving forward, though, the other thing besides the North Star is change. And change is always going to occur. And I was never taught that. I don't know what I thought. I just, I just thought that things were always going to stay the same. Johnny Depp was always going to be the best star ever. That is not true. Things are going to change. So quicker you get used to change and accepting it, I think the more fluid you become like the water. You go with the flow and you stream and life works for you, not against you.
That's really great advice.
Is that
Wow. It is great advice.
I don't know. Johnny Depp's not my favorite actor. He's just someone I've worked with twice. He killed me in no, he didn't kill me. He buried me in Lone Ranger, put a feather on my chest, closed my eyes. Uh, but I had a really great time with him in Rango, and we won an Oscar. So it's the only Oscar I've ever been a part of. Sorry, Morgan, I'm going off the script. What are
No,
she's so
no,
prepared.
because people need to learn about, people's true experience of being an actor. And I have a really good question. You talked about faith in God, being optimistic. I feel like there's a lot of people in the world right now that's looking to be motivated because they look at different screens and they can get them depressed. They can get them down. So talk about your journey of like a story of rejection and how you overcame it.
Yeah, I think that uh, we all are exposed to being less than our best selves most, and it's really easy to talk about how you should be, but it's very difficult to act on it or to try to do that and try to be a person that has great energy. Let's just say that. Okay, let's just say energy. Let's show up with energy. That starts. We might think that it starts the minute you get up in the morning and your feet hit the ground. You're up before the devil knows you're awake and you start to beat the system. I'm not sure. I think it actually starts the night before, like when you go to bed, setting up the next day. You're you're probably doing. Great energy comes from where you find it and what gives you that. But I do think that that energy starts to give you an opportunity. It doesn't. It's never what you want. It's the opportunity that can come to you, and I do think that when you open a door for opportunity, in other words, I always used to say, take the blinders off, see all the gifts that are available, just like an Easter egg for you to pick up. Uh, you'd be amazed and blessed. But we'll do wear blinders, and they're your cell phone bill, and there's college tuition, and it's the mortgage note, and it's all of those things that are certainly real. I am experiencing all of those too. I don't discount any of them, and they supersede all the woo energy stuff. So, but somewhere, life's got to be way more than paying our bills. And so I do think somewhere we give ourselves the opportunity to. And it's also the person I talked about in the shower when we dream about being at least having a vacation
Wow.
or at least owning a house. Or look, hey, let's just start with a car. All right, and not even a new car, a used car. At least that. All right, and then a roof over the bed, and then maybe I'll meet somebody, and then maybe we'll start going through this adventure of life and not mess it up. And then I think, I mean, on a personal level, none of that I've come to find out happens without a faith belief system that you can lean into. Uh, because that's going to flow, in my opinion. That's not going against the flow. And when you try to do it yourself, like you're not looking up and just looking forward, you're maybe not going right.
That's really good wisdom. I think like 'cause as a millennial and as a 29-year-old girl, a lot of people they want to, get married, have kids, you have the house by a certain age. And if it doesn't happen, they feel like, they lost type of hope. And I like what you said about, starting your day the night before. That's why, prayer is very important to me. Having something just to believe in for the next day. I think that's really great. And yes, you guys, I really want to thank everybody that's being here. Thank you for your time. And for this session, we're going to open up for any Q&A if you're aspiring after or you have any questions. This is the time to ask Lee. Any questions, do not be ashamed, don't be scared. He is here to help people. Last call, any question going on?
Okay, well, you can come ask me at my table. I'm right over in that corner. It'd be good to say hello. I've seen most of you today, but I'll be here all weekend. Thank you, Morgan.
Thank you so much. You can watch all of his work. Thank you for today. And remember, be kind, be sweet, and it's always going to be a joy to teach. Bye bye. Mic drop.